stream for over 7 miles. It took several weeks, several hundred men, teams of horses, log rafts, and finally dynamite to blow this single log jam free. It was estimated to be enough lumber in that single jam to build approximately 20,000 3-bedroom homes. Now off to the front left of the boat, behind those steel tan-colored railings, is the world's largest collection of above-ground glacial gardens or potholes. They were formed during the Ice Age when this was the main drainage point to the Lake Superior Basin. At that time, the water here was over 200 feet higher than what you see today. What was going on is Glacial Lake Superior at that time, which was 500 feet higher than what you see today, was actually blocked near Sault Ste. Marie with a giant ice floe. This forced the water that was receding out of Lake Superior at that time down through the St. Croix River Basin. As the water would come down around this corner, it would form whirlpools. These whirlpools would pick up large stones called grinders and drill the deep holes in the rock basalt, some of them being 20 feet wide and over 60 feet deep. Well worth your time and effort after a trip today to take a walk back up through the park. As a matter of fact, they've got what's called the Baker's Oven pothole open now. You can actually walk inside a pothole, it's so large. I must caution those of you in front of the pilot house, I do need to blow the horn one more time for the corner. Now if you focus your attention back to Angle Rock, you can see the average high water mark for the springtime of the year. It's marked by the bottom of the green colored lichen. We go around Angle Rock. This will bring us to the first rock formation on our trip today. It is the Witch's Face. Now today she's all clad in green. She's high up on the corner rock there. The top point forms her bonnet, the second her nose, and the third her chin. It's the Witch's Face, high up on the outside edge of Angle Rock. As we get closer here, you can even see that she has a scar coming down the side of her nose. That's the Witch's Face, high up on the outside edge of Angle Rock. Now coming up next, the best of them all, it is the world-famous Old Man of the Dells. If you look in front of the boat, high up on the right-hand Wisconsin cliff line there, you should be able to see him. You can see how the trees have been cleared away so we get a good view of his face. The top of the cliff is the top of his head. You'll see his bushy eyebrows, the nose, the mouth, the well-defined chin. He was written up in the book, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and said to be the best, perfectly formed, all-natural stone face in the world. That's the Old Man of the Dells. We think he looks a little bit like George Washington without his false teeth down here at the boat company. But as you'll see a little later on in this trip, whoever wrote this speech many years ago, well, they liked old George. Now if you come to the two towns of Taylor's Falls and St. Croix Falls, actually looking for the falls, well, you need not look any further. There are no falls here in the two towns. They're actually covered up back in 1900 when NSP built their hydroelectric dam, a little over a mile upstream from us here today. This covered up a very heavy set of step rapids for which the two towns did receive their names. The only set that is remaining is just beneath the bridge. Also in front of the boat there you can see what is our main landing. You can see how that landing is completely a wash of water. There's just no way safely to be able to go up and land the boat at this time. We'll be turning the boat around and heading back downstream. I'll be turning the speech back over to Jenna here on the upper deck.
If you bring your attention back to this corner rock, you can see how it's been cut into 3 equal vertical sections, so smooth and even as though it was done by a knife. They were actually done by glaciers about 10,000 years ago. Now if you go about 4 feet up from the water's edge today, you'll see a large steel ring. These steel rings were put in by the loggers and were used to tie tugboats and steamboats to. They were made of a high-grade, 3-to-cell steel that had not rusted or corroded in the past 150 years. If you were to hit one of these rings with a rock or a hammer, they would chime, much like a bell. Back at dock, there actually is one in the rock next to our landing. You can actually go up there and try ringing it yourself. As we round the corner, there will be another one of these rings, about even with the lower deck today. In front of us is the Algora Landing, which we were tied up to a moment ago. This is actually the original port here in Taylor's Falls. The first ship to come here was the Palmyra, which brought enough supplies to build 2 large lumber camps. These lumber camps eventually became the 2 towns of Taylor's Falls and St. Croix Falls. Many ships came after the Palmyra, bringing many settlers, mostly of Scandinavian descent. They came here because the rocks, the trees, the water, and even the climate reminded them much of their homeland. Coming up now is the most significant rock formation on your trip today. It is the large stone cross for which the St. Croix River did receive its name. As you look directly in front of the boat, that large, tall, very vertical cliff with little snow vegetation, you should be able to see the cross. It is formed by the protection of the cliff, and we do need this extreme side angle to see it. If you're still having problems seeing it, come about 20 feet off the water's edge. See a large notch. That notch forms the bottom of the cross. If you go 5 feet up from that, you'll see a horizontal line of green bushes just as a marker. And if you go 5 more feet up from that, you'll see the left and right cross arms of the cross, and the top of the cliff forms the top of the cross. Now the story goes that Father Hennepin and Deanna Duluth were paddling up the Mississippi River, which ported over to Lake Superior. They wintered on Madeline Island, and in the spring of 1679, they hired a Native American guide to bring them back down to New Orleans for supplies. This Native American guide brought them up the Little River, which is north to the city of Fort with his friends and made the Holy Cross.
Beautiful.
Like I said, the cross is formed by the protection of the cliff, and as we get closer to it, it does become more increasingly difficult to see. We here at the Gold Company have been accused of having an overactive imagination, but we believe that the cross comes from the profile of our very first president, George Washington, much like you see him on the head of the quarter. The bottom of the cross comes from the chin, the left
هذا ما
from his nose, there's a cup for his eyes, and the right down the cross arm forms his wig. Much like we wear during next year.
صاحب بالك كراسة.
Now I know we're not the only ones with good imagination. Prior to this boat company being founded in 1906, he was known as the early steamboat captain as the Old Egyptian. Now I must remind you that all the rock formations we point out today are all naturally formed and do take a bit of imagination to see. We're often told that after a couple of cocktails in the bar or evening dinner cruises, we see just about anything here in the rocks themselves.
1 hour and 20 minutes.
We're now exiting the Upper Dalles area. You can see how close the rock ends